Well, got nothing else to do, so I decided to make a video. Cool. Today we're talking about Rastroh. Now, if you're gonna get offended already, then I suggest you just click off right now. If you're okay and you have no idea what any kind of situation is, I suggest to probably look at some of the videos that feature Rastroh and the interview of itself. I'll put it in the description below so you can get a little bit of a familiarity of who he is. Now we got that out of the way. Time for my opinions and views and points from the opposite perspective of Rastroh and himself. So Rastroh is just your average type of guy, just like any players in krunker, to be honest. They're just like average people, including Frosty Wolf as well. I mean, as much of a pro he is, I mean, everyone is just, they're just living an average day, just trying to live off their lives. I don't care what your lives are, but, you know, if you live off a pretty good life, that's pretty good for you. You know, life is good for you, that's cool. But with Rastroh, it's kind of a different story. Not saying that he had like a bad childhood, of course he did, but it's just something that kind of sparked off a bit as a bit of like, of an era of some sort. Now, of course, there was no specific part of the era that really kind of affected too much. I mean, Rastroh wasn't really that much of an important person in the krunker community. Well, maybe according to maybe some people that actually do like his, did like his action, and some that didn't. You know, I'm kind of a bit biased from one of those sides too. I mean, you know, I'm not really in either one of the sides whatsoever. To me, I look at it as like a perspective, like a persuasive sort of article, if you would. Not persuasive, like an informal sort of article. Like, it's meant to inform you, it's not meant to like be anything else. So everything I'm saying here is more likely of an informal article as it is. So of himself, back then he used to be visual. Now, if you haven't really seen the interview yet, basically he's not really into like competitive gaming and all that. Well, not even with krunker. He's not into competitive krunker, especially, and probably isn't really into competitive games as much. Maybe like spectating them, that is. I don't know who the fuck his life is. I mean, how am I supposed to know? I haven't been hanging out with him 24/7. So, when it came to him like playing the game, right? He eventually became a caster to the krunker of the competitive side of it, and from that, it was just like, you know, it was, the game was about to be dead, and this I do understand as much as I really do want to understand, because during the point of time when he was the caster, things were getting a bit boring. Like, things were like the devs weren't really updating the game that much, and everything in general was just kind of, well, like being standard as it is. And being Rastroh as he is, he's being a caster, you know, he would go silent at times, and then he will go like really insane at times. One of those times was him like incorrectly, and I spoke it within his words, quoting him, and I'm not going to really quote it, but you can see the interview of yourself. So Kavoka, one of the formal competitive players, he hasn't really quit yet, but I'm considering him to be a formal krunker player, as it is. He got called out of being a, well, somewhat of a racist name, as you will. And since that I said that, y'all people are like, alright, hold up. So Rastroh decides to go insane, right? He's got his insane part side of him. And he decides to literally like, and at first I was like, it's nothing too new. I mean, you know, I get people calling out my, name, like an offensive, like, name and all that. Sure, okay. As this channel goes, McBastard. I mean, I'm pretty much okay with that. It's not as offensive as, well, Kavoka's name, though. And when he said that and just kind of slipped off the tongue of his mouth while he was literally saying that, people got a little riled up. It's a literal thing. Krunker people are kind of like monkeys sometimes, including me too, if I was in that situation. And at the end of that, there were many streamers, especially Frosty Wolf, like, were all calling out on him, being pathetic that he is. And that's just the human state of nature, people. Like, if you're seeing something that's just being like a total dickhead, you're gonna respond to them in some sort of behavior. So not much into that. So after watching that beautiful message from Frosty Wolf replying to Rastroh, like, nothing else really happened during that point. It wasn't really like a special event, like an era of an event. And I know I said it before, like, it's not really that much, like, important. Even Rastroh, like, even admits that as well. He says, like, I mean, it wasn't really that important, of course. Like, it was just a random average guy that just decided to be able to say something stupid, being a caster that he is. And now everyone calls him out for it on Twitter. And by the way, Twitter, like, literally sucks. I don't know if you ever know that, but Twitter just kind of sucks. Well, my opinion, that is. I mean, we're looking at it a fucking political view. Like, nobody, like, some people might think Twitter is awesome and it's okay. It's an okay platform, but I just think it sucks. So, ending it off with that side note, because nobody really gives a shit. After that, like, Eternity send a bunch of clips from the VOD of Twitch. And that's when things just gets, like, real. Like, everybody gets real against Rastroh. And that is went to the point where, things just get hectic. It just got hectic, It was just that one day that really kind of sparked off the kind of really sparked off a little bit. Everybody was kind of ticked off, and for me to really say that, it's not really a positive, like, standpoint from Krunker right now, because everybody gets so ticked off whenever they're just, like, playing a game. And that's fine. Like, rage quitting is normal. Everyone does that, and, it's good. But if you're willing to, like, start off drama at any sort of, like, point, first of all, Rastroh was just, like, literally feeling like the game was dead. And to that, in my political side of it, or not even political side, but literally my view of it, is that, yes, the game was kind of far downhill. I mean, not gonna lie, I wasn't really playing the game as much. I would always run 60 frames per second, not really having to fucking, like, actually play the game. Of course, they decided to be able to actually update the game. I was very happy, of course, and then many others were happy too. As for the Rastroh side of it, it really did nothing else. If you really think that, oh my god, you're speaking to me like this was a historical moment or some shit. Well, that's the thing too. Like, average people don't really get sparked off too much, Pro players like Random Export, Kavoka, Void, all those kind of pro players, they really get a lot of reputation and attention because normally it's because, they represent the game very well. As for Rastroh, he was just a average, just your average guy that became a caster and then just later on, got some later flag for it, and now it's it. You know, it was nothing like too crazy. Yeah, there's still DMs going on from Rastroh today about how much like of a horrible person he is, which, to be honest, it's in the fucking past, people. Fucking hell. And I'm not saying that just to kind of like spark off a quote there too, of course. But yeah, it really is put off in the past. I mean, the interview said it was like a month ago prior to that interview that it happened. And I'm just like, man, if people are still talking about it today, I'm literally going to call out for it and be like, bro, that's like whatever months it was ago. Like, you can't just be like this. And like everybody else, well, y'all have a wonderful day. So I'm just going to close it off here now.